Greetings to everyone and welcome to today's internal awareness session.
This awareness aims to explain Al Masood Energy's hand safety awareness and injury prevention and highlight its importance to Al Masood employees. The contents of the presentation will include the following: awareness objectives and deliverables, introduction and importance, hand injury statistics and industry trends, definitions and regulatory framework, scope of application at AME operations, common hand injury types, line of fire awareness, pinch points and crush hazards, cut and laceration prevention, chemical burns and skin contact hand tool and power tool safety, glove selection matrix, proper hand positioning techniques, control measures and prevention, hand injury first aid, emergency response procedures, roles and responsibilities, knowledge assessment, awareness objectives. This session aims to enhance employee awareness of hand safety principles, identify hazards, and promote safe practices across all Al Masood employees' operations. Enhance awareness of hand injury risks and controls across Al Masood employees' operations. Identify hazards, line of fire, pinch, crush points, cuts, chemicals, heat, cold, tools, rotating equipment. Promote proper hand positioning and safe body mechanics. Select the right glove by hazard type, cut, chemical, thermal, impact, and applicable standards. Embed behavior-based hand safety culture in near-miss reporting. Align with Al Masood employees AE-EHSMS, ISO 45001-2018, ADPHC, and ADNOC LSR. Requirements. Awareness deliverables. By the end, employees should be able to identify hand injury hazards in their work areas, apply line of fire principles, select and inspect appropriate gloves for tasks, demonstrate proper hand positioning techniques, know when not to wear gloves, provide immediate first aid for hand injuries, report incidents and near misses promptly, maintain situational awareness during tasks, and follow Al Masood employees' hand safety procedures and SDS requirements. Introduction and importance. Why hand safety at Al Masood employees? Safety and health impact. 25 to 30% of workplace injuries involve hands, fingers. In oil and gas sector, 43% of severe injuries involve upper extremities. Financial impact. Average cost per hand injury, $14,600 to $26,300 for medical expenses and indemnity payments. Severe injuries can exceed $100,000. Regulatory compliance. ISO 45001:2018, ADPHC framework, ADNOC LSR, UAE labor law all require hand injury prevention measures. Operational efficiency. Hand injuries cause significant downtime, average 60 to 125 days lost per serious injury, affecting critical operations. Preventability. 70 to 71% of hand injuries can be prevented with proper PPE and controls, protecting quality of life and livelihood. Hand injury statistics and trends. Hand injuries in workplace incidents, industry data compilation, 2023 35 to 40% of all workplace injuries involve hands, fingers across industries. Oil and gas industry, severe injuries by body part. 43% of severe injuries in the oil and gas industry involve upper extremities. 20 to 40 days average lost time per serious hand injury. 80% of hand injuries are preventable with proper awareness and PPE. Definitions. Hand injury, any trauma to fingers, hand, or wrist affecting skin, muscle, tendon, nerve, bone, or blood vessels. Line of fire, path of moving energy where body parts could be struck, caught, or cut if placed in that path. Pinch point, area where two objects move together in contract tissue, typically between rotating, sliding, or moving parts. Crush hazard, force that can compress or flatten body parts between two heavy or rigid objects. Contact injury, harm resulting from direct contact with sharp edges, chemicals, thermal sources, or electrical energy. Laceration, cut or tear of skin/tissue by sharp edge resulting in jagged or smooth wound. Amputation, traumatic separation of part or all of a finger, hand, or limb. Degloving, severe injury where skin is completely torn off the underlying tissue, separating skin from the hand. Hand safety, practices, procedures, and equipment used to protect hands from injury in the workplace. Chemical burn, tissue damage caused by exposure to acidic, alkaline, or other reactive substances. Regulatory framework and standards. ALMA-suit employees EHSMS. ALMA-suit employees HSMS procedures including WOP03, materials handling, storage, HASCM, WOP08, manual handling and ergonomics. ISO 45001:2018, hazard identification, hierarchy of controls, competence, and training requirements. ADPHC, Abu Dhabi Occupational Safety and Health System Framework, codes of practice for working at height, machinery safety, PPE requirements. ADNOC LSR, life-saving rules relevant to energy isolation, line of fire, PPE. UAE Labor Law and Ministerial Orders, Federal Law No. 8, 1980, Ministerial Order No. 32, 1982. Glove Standards, ANSI, ISA 105, cut resistance levels, 1A9, puncture, abrasion, EN 388, mechanical hazards, cut, tear, puncture, abrasion, EN 374, chemical and microorganism protection, EN 407, thermal hazards, heat and/or fire, ANSI, ISA 138, impact protection. Scope of application at Al Masaud Energy. Operations with hand risk exposure, tubular running services, casing, joint analysis makeup, jam, completion subassemblies with pinch, crush hazards, Fermanite, PPM, operations, leak sealing, hot tapping, on-site machining, plant, pipe maintenance with cutting, thermal hazards, controlled pressure drilling services, mechanical hazards, high-pressure equipment risks, industrial supplies and calibration, tools, hydraulic hoses, maintenance with pinch, cut risks, chemical storage and blending. ARCHEMA, chemical exposure, container handling, HASCM requirements, base, jetty and berthing operations, forklift load handling, cargo handling, line operations with crush, pinch zones, fire systems, installation, commissioning, maintenance with tool, equipment hazards, warehouse and logistics, lifting, manual handling, material movement with various hazard types. Operations with significant hand injury risks require specific protection measures tailored to the hazards present in each activity. Anatomy of hand injuries. Structures, complex anatomy with 27 bones, tendons, 3 main nerves, median, ulnar, radial, blood vessels, ligaments. Vulnerability factors, high dexterity exposure, limited protection for fingertips, many pinch zones, constant use in work tasks. Common injury locations, fingertips, crush injuries, punctures, lacerations, thumb, index finger, most frequently injured due to positioning during tasks, palm, penetration injuries, lacerations from tools, materials, wrist, strain injuries, fractures, carpal tunnel syndrome. Severity classifications, minor, abrasions, minor cuts, bruising, typically first aid only, moderate, deep lacerations, partial thickness burns, may require medical treatment, severe, fractures, amputations, nerve, tendon damage, requiring surgery and rehabilitation. Hand anatomy with 27 bones, tendons, nerves, median, ulnar, radial, blood vessels, and ligaments. Common hand injury types. Cuts and lacerations, fractures, burns, crush injuries, dislocations. 70 to 71% of hand injuries are preventable with proper procedures and PPE. Lacerations and cuts, caused by sharp edges, tools, metals, glass, most common type, 50% of hand injuries. Proper cut-resistant gloves and handling practices are essential. Crush injuries occur between two objects, pipes, machinery, heavy materials, can cause severe tissue damage, fractures, and permanent disability, common in tubular operations. Punctures, from nails, wires, splinters or sharp objects, risk of infection and deep tissue damage, particularly dangerous as contamination can be embedded deep in tissue. Fractures and dislocations, broken or dislocated bones from impacts, crushing, or excessive force, long recovery periods, often require medical intervention and rehabilitation. Burns, chemical, thermal, electrical burns from hot surfaces, flames, chemicals, or electrical arcs, prevalent in hot tapping, welding, and chemical handling operations. Amputations, catastrophic loss of fingers or hands, typically from rotating equipment, shears, presses, or severe crushing incidents, most serious hand injury type with permanent impact. Strains and sprains, from overexertion, repetitive motion, or improper tool use, may lead to chronic conditions like tendinitis or carpal tunnel syndrome if left untreated. Risk factors at AME. Key risk areas include tubular handling, rotating equipment in firmanite operations, chemical handling and blending operations, and high-force manual tasks in maintenance activities. High-risk activities at Al Masood Energy. Part 1. Tasks: manual pipe handling and lifting operations, tongue operations for makeup and breakout, thread protector removal and installation, spinning operations and connection handling, pipe alignment and stabilization. Hazards: pinch, crush points between tubulars during connections, dropped objects during handling and lifting, impact injuries from swinging pipes or equipment, line of fire exposure during pipe movement, sharp edges on thread protectors and pipe ends. Controls: use hands-free tools, push-pull tools, grab-it devices, drops controls and impact-resistant, cut-resistant gloves, position body and hands outside pinch zones, clear communication and use of spotters, pre-job safety analysis and toolbox talks. High-risk activities at Al Masood Energy. Part 2. Tasks: leak sealing and pipe maintenance activities, hot tapping on pressurized systems, on-site machining and precision grinding, metal cutting, welding, and fitting operations. Hazards: rotating parts and mechanical entanglement, sharp swarf, metal shavings, and burrs, hot surfaces and thermal exposures, pressurized system release and high-force tools. Controls: lockout, tagout, before maintenance, machine guards and protective shields, hot work permit and JSA requirements, NO gloves near rotating machinery, cut, thermal gloves when appropriate, verified isolation before work. High-risk activities at Al Masood Energy. Part 3. Chemical operations risk management. Tasks: storage and blending of chemicals, including Archema products, chemical transfer between containers and equipment, sampling operations and quality testing, spill response and cleanup procedures, container handling, disposal, and transportation. Always consult Safety Data Sheet, SDS, before handling any chemicals. Hazards: chemical burns from acids, caustics, and solvents, dermatitis from repeated exposure to irritants, chemical permeation through gloves, breakthrough time, splash risks during transfer, opening, and cleaning, cross-contamination and chemical incompatibility. Controls: SDS-driven glove selection, EN 374 standard, specific to chemical, face and eye protection, shields, goggles, for splash prevention, long cuffs and gauntlet-style gloves for wrist protection, double gloving when handling highly hazardous chemicals, immediate access to eye wash and shower stations, use of mechanical means, pumps, siphons, to reduce hand contact. High-risk activities at chemicals. Part 4. Tasks: line handling and mooring operations, cargo securing and transfer, winch and mechanical equipment operations, hatch and vessel access operations. Hazards: snapback zones, ropes, lines under tension can recoil with deadly force, crush points, between vessel and dock, in winches, between cargo units, wet, slippery surfaces, increased fall hazards and reduced grip, entanglement, moving lines, winches, and cargo equipment. Controls: line handling, stay out of snapback zones, use boat hooks and line handling tools, PP, marine-grade grip gloves and high-visibility clothing, communication, clear commands, designated signals, maintain visual contact, safe positioning, stay clear of bites and lines, never stand between load and fixed object, environment, adequate lighting, proper housekeeping, anti-slip surfaces. AME jetty and marine operations involve significant hand safety hazards. Line of fire awareness. What is line of fire? Being positioned in the path of moving energy or a moving object that can cause injury if released. At Al Masood Energy, this includes swinging loads, rotating tools, pressurized systems, snapback zones, and closing gaps. Stop, pause before starting the task to identify potential line of fire hazards. Think, analyze where energy could be released and body positioning risks. Plan, develop a strategy to keep hands and body out of danger zones. DO, execute the task safely with continuous awareness. Tubular handling, never place hands between pipes or between a pipe and a fixed object. Use hands-free tools for positioning. High-pressure operations, stay clear of pressure release pads during leak sealing and hydro testing. Position away from high-pressure areas and valve discharge. Lifting, rigging, never position yourself under suspended loads. Be aware of swing radius and potential load shifts. Pinch points and crush hazards. Common pinch points at Al-Masood energy operations, tubular operations, between pipes during connection, between pipe and tong jaws, thread protector removal, installation, pipe handling equipment, moving parts, equipment and machinery, door hinges and latches, chain drives and belt systems, valve handles and actuators, between tools and fixed objects, material handling, under suspended loads, between slings and load, rigging equipment, pinch zones, cargo securing points on vessels. Never place hands in pinch points. Hands can be crushed in an instant when caught between objects. Most crush injuries occur when workers place hands in the bite or fail to identify pinch points before they become trapped. Protective measures and controls. Keep hands visible to yourself and others at all times during operations. Clear communication between team members during lifting, positioning, and handling. Body positioning. Stay outside of line of fire and potential pinch zones. Use tools instead of hands for positioning, alignment or holding objects. Impact-resistant gloves provide last line of defense against impact injuries. Report near misses. Identify and control pinch hazards before injury occurs. Cut and laceration prevention. Common causes of cuts and lacerations: sharp edges on metal components, pipes, structural elements, knives, shears, and cutting tools, especially utility, box cutters, burrs on pipes or machine parts, sheet metal, glass, or other materials with sharp edges, cable ties, wire, and strapping after cutting. Engineering and administrative controls. Deburr all edges during fabrication and installation. Use safety knives with guarded blades and retractable features. Use shears instead of knives where possible. Apply edge guards on sheet metal and other sharp materials. Select proper tools for the job and avoid makeshift cutting tools. Cut-resistant glove requirements. Select appropriate ANSI cut level based on hazard severity. Light duty, general handling with minimal sharp edges. Medium duty, sheet metal, glass handling, general maintenance. Heavy duty, metal stamping, sharp edges, blade handling. Safe work practices. Always cut away from your body, never toward yourself. Secure materials before cutting to prevent unexpected movement. Never try to catch falling sharp objects. Let them fall. Use magnetic or vacuum lifters for sharp materials when possible. Dispose of sharps in designated containers, never in regular trash. Chemical burns and skin contact. Risks: acids, alkalis, pH extremes, solvents, defatting skin, resins, Archema products, cleaning agents, corrosive, irritant. Skin contact can lead to immediate burns or delayed reactions including dermatitis. Controls: SDS review before handling is mandatory. Use correct chemical-resistant gloves, nitrile, neoprene, butyl, butan, as specified in SDS. Wear sleeves, aprons for splash protection. Never reuse contaminated PP. Maintain chemical inventory records. Emergency response: flush with clean water for 15+ minutes, minimum. Remove all contaminated PP immediately. Report to supervisor and seek medical evaluation. No location of nearest eyewash, shower stations. Storage and handling. Follow GHS labeling requirements. Maintain proper chemical segregation. Ensure eyewash, shower stations are within 10 seconds travel time. Use appropriate decanting tools and secondary containment. Follow AE-EHSMS WOP03 requirements for chemical storage. Common chemical hazards at AME: corrosive acids, irritant solvents, toxic chemical resins, cleaning agents. Remember, chemical burns can cause permanent tissue damage and disability. Always check SDS before handling any chemicals. Hand tool safety. Before use, inspect handles for cracks, splits, or looseness. Check tool heads, jaws, and cutting edges for damage. Verify proper fit of moving parts and adjustments. Ensure tools are clean and free of oil, grease. During use, maintain correct grip and hand positioning. Keep cutting edges directed away from body. Secure stable body position and proper balance. Use proper sized tools for the job. Never improvise. After use, clean tools properly before storage. Store tools with cutting edges protected, sheathed, return to designated storage locations, report defective tools to supervisor immediately. Never use makeshift tools or modify standard tools, bypass guards or safety mechanisms, position hands in the line of cut or force, carry sharp tools in pockets without protection. Proper tool inspection and handling protect your hands. Power tool safety. Pre-use inspection, guards and safety devices must be installed, intact, and functioning correctly. Triggers, deadman switches, and emergency stop buttons must be operational. Check for damaged cords, frayed wires, and proper grounding. Operation safety, always use both hands when operating and secure workpieces properly. Be aware of kickback potential and maintain proper stance and grip. Never bypass safety features or remove guards. Environment and PP, ensure clear work area, adequate lighting, and manage power cords to prevent trips. Required PPE includes eye, face protection, hearing protection, and appropriate gloves when not around rotating components. Rotating equipment hazards, common rotating equipment at Al Masood Energy operations, maintenance equipment, drill presses and lathes, grinding wheels and bench grinders, power tools with rotating bits, Firmanet on-site machining tools, field and base operations, drilling rig components, portable grinding, cutting tools, winch drums and cable spools, ventilation fans and blowers, pumps and motor drives. Never wear normal gloves near rotating machinery. Normal gloves can be caught and pulled into rotating equipment, causing severe entanglement injuries including amputation, crushing, and degloving. Even thin gloves increase entanglement risk, and rotating equipment can pull in hands before you can react. Controls for rotating equipment safety, use guards and barriers, never remove or bypass machine guards, use distance tools, push sticks, tongs, to keep hands away from rotating parts, follow machine-specific procedures and manufacturer instructions, implement LOTO procedures and verify zero energy before maintenance or clearing jams, secure loose clothing, roll up sleeves, remove jewelry, tie back long hair. Stay focused and alert, never reach into or around moving equipment. Glove Selection Matrix. Part 1. Hazard type, recommended glove types, general handling, general purpose, grip gloves with synthetic or leather palms and fabric backs provide basic hand protection for non-specific hazards. Mechanic-style gloves offer enhanced grip with reinforced palm for general maintenance and fabrication tasks. Cut hazards, metal edges, knives, glass, sheet metal, cut-resistant gloves, ANSI A3-7, made of HPP, Kevlar, composite fibers, higher numbers indicate greater cut resistance. Select based on task severity, metal mesh gloves for extreme cutting hazards, sharp-bladed tools, with limited dexterity. Impact, pinch hazards, tubular operations, rigging, tool use, impact-resistant gloves with TPR, thermoplastic rubber, padding on back of hand, fingers to absorb impact energy, mandatory for tubular handling, anti-vibration gloves with padded palm reduce transmitted vibration for use with power tools and rotating equipment. Selection guidelines, always select gloves based on the specific task, hazard assessment, and environment. Consider dexterity requirements, fit, and comfort. Gloves that are too tight restrict blood flow, too loose create entanglement risks. Inspect gloves before each use and replace if damaged. Glove Selection Matrix Part 2. Hazard type, recommended glove types, chemical hazards, acids, alkalis, solvents, chemicals. Nitrile gloves are excellent for solvents, oils, and petroleum products but poor against ketones and acetates. Neoprene gloves provide good resistance to acids, bases, alcohols, fuels, and solvents. Butyl, Vuitton gloves are used for aggressive chemicals. Always refer to SDS and chemical compatibility charts. Thermal hazards, hot work, welding, hot surfaces, steam, leather welding gloves are heat resistant and protect from sparks and slag for welding, torch work, and hot tapping. Aluminized heat resistant gloves are for extreme heat exposure and reflect radiant heat with limited dexterity. Aramid, Kevlar heat gloves are cut resistant and heat resistant for handling hot objects and materials. Electrical hazards, electrically energized equipment, circuits, electrically rated insulating rubber gloves with appropriate voltage rating require specialist verification and testing. Use leather protector gloves over insulating gloves. Cold, wet hazards, winter work, marine operations, refrigerants, insulated cold weather gloves with thinsulate or similar lining for thermal insulation with waterproof exterior for jetty operations in cold weather. Waterproof grip gloves with nitrile or PVC coating and sandy, foam finish for wet conditions to maintain grip when wet. Important reminder, always verify permeation times and chemical compatibility with the specific SDS. Chemical gloves have different breakthrough times depending on the chemical. Double gloving may be required for certain applications. For Al-Masood energy operations involving chemicals, consult your supervisor and the HSE department to confirm the appropriate glove selection. When not to wear gloves. Situations where gloves create greater hazards, fine precision tasks, intricate assembly work, electrical circuit testing, calibration procedures, delicate instrument handling, and when tactile sensitivity is critical, material incompatibility, when gloves react with chemicals, when glove material degrades rapidly, torn gloves with chemicals, wrong glove for hazard type, gloves past their useful life. Entanglement hazard, severe injury or amputation risk. Gloves can be caught and pulled into rotating machinery in a fraction of a second, dragging hands and arms into dangerous moving parts, leading to severe injuries including degloving, crushing, amputation, or death. Never wear any normal type of glove when operating equipment with exposed rotating components. Alternative controls when gloves cannot be worn. Use machine guards to prevent contact with moving parts. Apply LOTO procedures when maintaining or servicing equipment. Consult supervisor when unsure about glove use for a specific task. Use tools and jigs to keep hands away from danger zones. Position body outside potential entanglement zones. Follow equipment-specific procedures and manufacturer's guidance. Control measures and prevention follows the hierarchy of controls. Elimination. Completely remove the hazard by eliminating the need for hands near the hazard through automation or remote tools, such as using automated pipe handling systems instead of manual handling and replacing manual valve operation with remote actuation. Substitution. Replace the hazard with a safer alternative by using less hazardous chemicals in blending operations and selecting tools with improved ergonomic design and enhanced safety features. Engineering controls. Isolate people from the hazard through machine guards, barriers, pinch point covers, tool extensions, hands-free pipe tools, mechanical lifting aids, and pressure relief systems. Administrative controls. Change work practices through clear procedures, job rotation, training, two-person verification, permit systems for hot work and chemical handling, and pre-job safety analysis, and PP, as the last line of defense. Ensure task-specific gloves are selected based on hazard assessment, with regular inspection, proper fit, correct selection, and adequate training. Hand injury first aid. For minor cuts and abrasions, clean thoroughly with soap and water, disinfect the wound, apply appropriate dressing, and monitor for signs of infection such as redness, swelling, or increased pain with support from a first aider. For severe bleeding, apply direct pressure, elevate the injured area above heart level, use a pressure bandage if available, and apply a tourniquet only if trained and bleeding cannot be controlled. In case of chemical exposure, flush with clean running water for at least 15 minutes, remove contaminated PP and clothing, consult the SDS for specific response guidance, and cover with a clean dressing. For thermal burns, cool with room temperature water for 10 to 15 minutes, not ice, cover with a clean dry cloth or sterile dressing, and do not apply creams or ointments without medical direction. For amputations, control bleeding, place the amputated part in a clean plastic bag, then place the sealed bag in a container with ice, no direct contact with ice, and transport it with the patient to a medical facility. For fractures or dislocations, immobilize the injury, apply a cold pack wrapped in cloth, elevate if possible, and do not attempt to realign bones or joints. For puncture wounds, clean thoroughly, control bleeding, cover with sterile dressing, and seek medical attention, especially for deep punctures. For serious injuries, including severe bleeding, deep wounds, crush injuries, amputations, or large area chemical burns, call emergency services immediately. Always report all hand injuries to your supervisor and the HSE department regardless of severity, and seek professional medical evaluation even for minor injuries, as complications may develop later. Emergency response procedures. Follow the Al-Masood Energy Emergency Response Protocol. Every minute counts in a hand injury emergency. Ensure prompt medical attention, minimize injury severity, and support proper incident investigation. Know your site-specific emergency contacts and first aid station locations. Step 1. Stop work. Stop all operations immediately, make the area safe, control hazards, and prevent further injury. Step 2. First aid. Administer appropriate first aid and alert your supervisor and HSE immediately. Step 3. Medical transport. Arrange transport to a medical facility as per the Al Masood Energy Site Emergency Plan. Step 4. Report. Complete the incident report, preserve evidence, and participate in the investigation. For severe bleeding, apply direct pressure with a clean cloth or bandage, elevate the injured area, and if bleeding is uncontrolled, apply a tourniquet only if trained. Immediate action is critical. For chemical exposure, flush with water for a minimum of 15 minutes, remove contaminated clothing, PPE, and refer to the SDS for specific instructions. The first 15 minutes are critical. For amputation, control bleeding first, recover the amputated part, rinse gently, wrap in clean cloth, place in a plastic bag, then place the sealed bag on ice, no direct contact with ice. Critical time for reattachment is approximately 4 to 6 hours. Roles and responsibilities. The HSE department develops and maintains hand safety procedures within the AE-EHSMS, conducts regular workplace hazard and risk assessments, tracks and analyzes hand injury statistics, implements improvement programs, investigates incidents, applies corrective actions, and provides hand safety awareness and technical guidance. Supervisors conduct pre-job safety briefings, identify hand hazards before work starts, enforce proper glove selection and PPE use, verify LOTO compliance to protect against energy sources, enforce jewelry and ring restrictions at the start of each shift, and ensure proper tools and equipment are available for safe work. Employees must select and use correct hand protection for each task, inspect PPE before use, identify and report hand hazards, near misses, and incidents immediately, maintain awareness of hand positioning in line of fire, never wear gloves near rotating equipment or during prohibited activities, and complete required training in toolbox talks. Contractors must comply with all Al Masood Energy hand safety and EHSMS requirements, provide task-appropriate hand protection for their workers, ensure equipment is fit for purpose and certified, report all hand safety incidents to Al Masood Energy Supervision immediately, and participate in Al Masood Energy hand safety orientation and JSA development. Compliance and record keeping. Required documentation includes incident records for all hand injury incidents and near misses with investigation reports and corrective actions, PPE inspection records detailing date, condition, and replacement schedules, completed LOTO permits for all equipment isolation activities related to hand safety, and training records covering hand safety awareness attendance, competency assessments, and refresher training dates monitored through ERP stats. Compliance requirements include maintaining all records for a minimum of 3 years in line with AE-EHSMS retention policy, conducting quarterly compliance audits against AE-EHSMS procedures, OSHAD, and ADNOC requirements, tracking KPIs such as PPE compliance rate, hand injury frequency rate, near-miss reporting, and positive safety observations, and ensuring all identified gaps are addressed through documented corrective action plans with assigned responsible persons and defined due dates. Al Masood Energy Hand Safety Rules. Your hands are irreplaceable. These safety rules are mandatory for all Al Masood Energy personnel and contractors. Compliance is not optional and is essential to prevent serious, life-altering injuries. Critical hand safety rules at Al Masood Energy include assessing hand hazards before starting work and identifying pinch points, sharp edges, and lines of fire, keeping hands out of the line of fire and maintaining constant awareness of hand positioning, using appropriate tools instead of hands for positioning, alignment, or holding objects, selecting the correct gloves for the hazard, inspecting them before use, and replacing damaged gloves, never wearing gloves near machinery with. Entanglement risk, removing all rings, watches, and jewelry to prevent degloving injuries, verifying LOTO is in place and energy sources are isolated before placing hands on equipment, reporting all hand injuries and near misses immediately, no matter how minor, maintaining clear communication during lifting and positioning operations, and never placing hands under suspended loads or between objects that can move or shift. Let's continue working together to make a positive impact and drive excellence across our organization. Following this awareness session, please take a moment to complete the training evaluation questionnaire. Kindly submit your responses to HSE department for our records.